Hi, I'm Brennan.
And I'm Catherine, and welcome to the Rom-Com Love Podcast. And we are so thrilled to have with us
Torrance Coombs. Welcome, Torrance.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey.
Oh yeah, go ahead. See, we're already causing trouble.
Yeah, you don't even have the audio delay as an excuse.
That's true.
Right.
We just will elbow each other. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you for being our test dummy, as we'll call it, for this experience of podcasting in the same room. We're excited.
Looking forward
It's
to it.
so lovely to meet you, Torrance, and we're both so excited to chat with you today. So thank you for spending a little time with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, to kick things off today, Torrance, you have gotten to film in some really beautiful locations, such as Ireland and Lake Tahoe for a couple Hallmark movies. So, do you have a favorite filming location out of all the spots you've filmed?
As you say, I've been lucky to film in some really beautiful places. I think Ireland will always have my heart. I I started there. It was interesting. I shot the Tudors there, and I remember when I got that, I'd sort of carved out a life in a little 10-block radius in Vancouver. I'd never dreamed I'd get to travel for work. I thought that's something that happens to cooler actors than me. So when that happened, and I lived over there for months, I just fell in love with the place and just the experience of living in another country. And so I think. I mean, it is one among the most beautiful places I've been, but it was also the first like great adventure that I had in my career. So I think it'll always have a special place. And then I actually cried when I had to leave. It was just so beautiful, and it was such an experience for me. And I thought, oh, all of these wonderful people, this crew, I'll never see them again. Like this was a one shot. And then I got to go back to Ireland for two further projects and worked with many of the same people again.
Oh.
So yeah, Rain also shot there. I think I shot there maybe four times for Rain, with various different crews and people. And then Royally Ever After was also shot there. And yeah, there was a through line for all of it, which is really cool.
Well, that's awesome to get to see everybody again.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your journey. You've done quite a bit. I will be honest, we've never seen Rain. It's on our list, but
Okay.
I did watch the Tudors, and one of the things that I wanted to know is, did you know about Culpepper before you started playing him too, like his story in?
So not before I was cast, admittedly. Once I was cast, I dug into the history and found out, like it's one thing when it's a work of fiction, you go like, oh, this guy, but
Mhm.
to go, oh, this is a real person, and these things happened, and I know there's some discussion about there were two people both named Thomas Culpepper, and it's not always clear which one we're talking about.
Oh,
But for purposes of the show, they're combined into a single character, and we just assume the same man has done all of these things. Um, which it's fascinating that a man would risk life and limb like that, knowing
hmm
Henry's tendency for vengeance and
hmm
death. So just a fascinating dude, but by all accounts, very well liked. But then also an accused rapist, murderer, and then this is Hallmarky. The
Hey, we like After Dark. We do. We're
yeah,
guilty. We're not calling that After Dark, but we're all over.
and then the king acquits him of all the charges. Basically, he just he's I think he's pretty clearly guilty, and the king just says, "No, I like him. Nothing
Yeah.
happens to him," which is fascinating that he then is also behind the king's back doing this thing. And also, even in his execution, he was saved from the more gruesome execution because the king still had a fondness for him, even after everything blew up. So,
hmm
um, the affair with his wife, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so, fascinating dude. Like, really, this guy existed and he did
Yeah.
these things? Like, he's got a lot more balls on him than I do.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I like. I really wasn't a history person when I was in school. And so when you start watching these, and I actually had this conversation with one of my aunts about Jane Eyre. She tells me that Jane Eyre wouldn't like all the oh my gosh, adaptations. There we go. Adaptions. There we go. all of her movies because it would, like it goes a little from her story. And I said, but there's people like me who probably wouldn't see it if I, like Hallmark had done Sense and Sensibility. And I just, for me growing up, it wasn't a book I read or anything like that. So I was like, you can open up a wider audience. And I am the person who sat there and watched the series and I'm like, is that a real person? And then would go in Wikipedia and look up the history and be like, oh my gosh, everything that we're seeing on screen basically happened in real life, moment for moment. Mm-hmm. And so like I said, very interesting, completely different time. And just amazing to know that that's part of the history that's available for everybody to learn. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, absolutely. It's truth is stranger than fiction sometimes.
Yes.
If you end up watching Rain, one of the interesting things, that show plays very fast and loose with history, but uses it as a framework. But some of the more outlandish things that happen in that show are the historically accurate ones, which is funny. People go like, "This show's stupid. What'll it think of next?" And it's like, no, that actually happened. That one's real.
This is real, folks.
Yeah, no, I actually, I was supposed to be, and we were both supposed to be at the same thing. Rama Drama had an event last year.
That's right.
Was filmed in the South that sadly got canceled, and so I was scheduled to go, and it was the first time that I had really started looking at all of the crossover of casting of people that are now familiar to me from the Hallmark world. And so that and the originals, and I'm like, all right, I have a little honey-do list someday when I want to just binge and rewatch everything, because it obviously had quite a following, because the amount of people, it was very divided for why people said they were going. They were going for Rain, or they were going because they knew people from Hallmark. And I was thinking it'd be more 75-25, and it was probably the opposite. Rain was over. Every time somebody got announced, you saw just the excitement with that. So it's exciting to see that it's still popular.
Yeah, that was an interesting merging of worlds. I would have loved to do it, but it was it was interesting for me. The worlds collide of that was nuts, because there was like Ben Ayers, who I did my first project ever with, right? Like he was there for the beginnings of my career, and then right up to cast members from Rain and the originals, and like people that I know doing the convention circuit, and then like Paul Campbell, who I did a movie with many years ago called Killer Mountain. So just old friends from Vancouver and friends that I've made in the United States and elsewhere, and that was a real worlds collide one for me. So I'm sad that it didn't work out.
I know. I have hope that maybe it's something that they can do again in the future. So
Fingers
if not
crossed.
that location, somewhere else. But yeah, definitely. So what got you into acting in the first place?
I guess I enjoyed it as a kid. I did it through high school. I had a really wonderful drama teacher named Sally, who encouraged me to join the theater company, not just kind of do drama, but join the theater company. And my school, I was lucky that they had this fairly intensive theater program where people were very motivated. We stayed after school, long hours to rehearse, and it was all, voluntary. I just loved it. I loved the community. I loved theater kids. It turned out they were my people. And I was just talking about this. I was reminiscing about this with a friend very recently, which is why I'm bringing it up. I don't think I've ever properly shouted out Sally for the role that she played. But she was like, this was really cool. She was like a working professional writer, and she would write original plays for us to be in that were really like, it's like really intense level of dedication from a high school drama teacher at the time, right? And she's gone on since to win awards and things for her writing. She's doing great. But we really connected, and she really nurtured me. And then other folks in that program also went on to be successful in the field, and we all just kind of came up together. But then I still didn't think I was going to pursue it. And I went to university and just kind of did a general arts. And then I ended up crashing the theater school auditions, because I was like, well, I haven't chosen a major. Let's just see if that's even an option.
Okay.
Because I sort of thought acting's the hobby, right? Like that's not the practical career. You don't you and I'm a guy who's interested in a lot of different things, and I'm like decently okay at a lot of things. So I was like, I could do something. Let's figure out what I'm going to do. Um, and then acting just emerged as the logical choice at some point against all odds, which is strange.
Mm. Oh, that's incredible. That's so neat that you grew up in the theater world and, kind of got a taste for that fairly young. And that obviously helped you get into that world. And now
Yeah.
as an adult, and look at everything you've gotten to do. That's incredible.
It's wild. I remember before, like when I was just starting my journey in drama school, I remember I used to go to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland. I'd go there every couple of years and check out the shows, and I just loved it so much. And I remember seeing productions there and going, man, if one day, if I could just work on a professional stage one time in my life, I could just call it as an actor and go do something else. And then that happened for me like immediately out of school. So I was like, no, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
I need to set the goals higher. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like I said, when I got the tutors and it took me to Ireland, like you're like, oh, I might really get to do this like in a real way. I might be one of the truly like,
Fortunate.
point 1% of actors here. Like this is, um, I have the opportunity to live a really extraordinary life.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's still very surreal to me now when it happens.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Do you have a favorite play or theater role that you did, or was there one in particular where you really thought to yourself, okay, this made me want to really pursue this work?
So yes, so in high school, it was the final play that I did. We did a production of The Tempest, and I played
Mm,
Prospero. And
mm,
that's where I gained a true, like we'd done Midsummer Night's Dream and things like that, but that's where I
mhm,
really dug in on, and I think like honed um, my command of that language, and gained a love for the classics. And I think that's what got me into drama school because I used a monologue from that for my audition.
mm,
And then when I was done in drama school, I started out in Shakespeare. I worked at a Shakespeare festival called Bard on the Beach, which is a big Shakespeare festival in Vancouver.
wow.
Um, and but so I think that like that role I can point to as being a seminal one. And then the other one that obviously I had no idea would be as important as it was my final role when I was at UBC, the where I did my training,
Mm,
University of British Columbia in Vancouver. I played a character called Septimus in a play called Arcadia
mm,
by Tom Stoppard. And so for that, I had a dialect coach, and it's a very, very English play. So we had to learn English accents.
mm.
And little did I know that that would be maybe the single most useful skill that I would
Oh
learn.
yeah.
So that's where that started. And also, I was trusted. That one was interesting because, you're in drama school, everybody gets a role. They had a role kind of earmarked for me. And I said, no, I want to play this one. Can I audition for this one? And there's something about it. And I asserted myself on it. And then I got it. And I said, well, now I better deliver. And I don't know, I think it was quite special. And we had a lot of folks come out from the theater community for that and see it. And yeah, I think those connections just helped me get started coming out of school too. Um, but yeah, those two roles really kind of kick-started things
Mm.
in looking back on it.
So did you see yourself staying with stage then, and
Yeah.
then the television was a surprise?
Yeah, so the way Vancouver typically works, particularly there's a vibrant theater community there, and
Mm-hmm.
they were my friends, and you get really involved in the community. You're all going to each
Mm-hmm.
other's shows, you do plays with, you get to know all these actors, and I just loved it. And the way most of them operate is they do the theater, but life is expensive, so you have a job at the library or as a waiter, and then also, in order to ease up on your shifts, sometimes you work in film and television, which at the time there was a really vibrant film industry in Vancouver. So there was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of opportunities for just guest stars on things, and that'll pay your rent for a few months. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how a lot of those folks operated, and I think still do operate. But after about a year and a half of doing theater, I got an audition. I got an agent who had come to see one of the shows, and she agreed to represent me. And then my second audition out, I booked a TV show called J-Pod, which is a Canadian comedy series, and that's where I met Ben Ayres. So
Okay.
among other actors, but yeah, that was so. And then suddenly I just went from nothing to not nothing like but a couple years out of school, suddenly I'm on this TV show, and we're doing 13 episodes, and I'm learning I don't know how to act on camera, so I've had to figure that out, but I was lucky enough to get to learn on the job. um, and then yeah, that kind of kickstarted. It's been really hard to go back to theater since then, because that really did get the ball rolling on um, yeah, film and TV work in a very real way. But I still have a huge respect for the theater, and I love it, and I'd love to do it again someday. Monetarily, obviously it doesn't really come close. It's tough to support yourself on it, which is always a tricky thing. And then the I had another point about it. Oh, yes. I came to learn that when I was in theater, especially professionally, I did the Shakespeare Festival. I was playing, messengers, or, you apprentice, right? And you play the smaller roles, and they bring you up in the system, and you learn the ropes and how to be a professional. But I found that doing Shakespeare, you're always looking for a new angle on an old character. And the cool thing I found in TV was that, oh, this character is just written for me. Like I'm the originator of this character. And that's really enticing. And not that that doesn't exist in the theater, but it is tougher to find, because I think we do lean more on public domain for just cost reasons. And also people's familiarity with material is really important, and trying to get them in the seats. So like Shakespeare for that reason. Um, and I guess we're seeing that now with all the revivals and reboots in film and TV as well, where familiarity is important to people.
Yeah.
But uh, yeah, no, so for me now, it's no longer a question of medium; it's like opportunity.
So if you
Absolutely.
did go back to the theater, though, for like one last hurrah of would there be something that you would want to do that you've already done, or what would you like a role in?
Yes, so so it's funny, I talk about originating stuff or doing something new. However, there was at one point it was floated. There was a thing that got pitched for me to produce in back in Vancouver, a production of Arcadia, where I reprised that role that kind of got me started. And that was really enticing to me, and I was really excited by the idea of that. I was like, yeah, I'd take some time away from whatever else I was doing to do that. So maybe someday. I might have aged out of it now. I don't know. It's fine. It's the theater though. It's fine. I watched Ian McKellen play Hamlet like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I love. I mean, I'm sure what the most exciting part is that every night is different. But also at the same time, is that as exciting as it seems? because it's a lot, to have to do the exact, to hit that mark all the time. And
Yeah. I tell you what, when you're in a great show and it's a great show, it's the best feeling. Like your audiences are packed. You're just, your show's good and people are going to enjoy it. And it would be genuinely surprising if they didn't. But sometimes at some point, it becomes apparent you're in a bit of a turkey or something a bit experimental that people just don't really get. And then you don't really know how your audience is going to respond. And then when you're in a turkey and everybody claps and loves it, you're like, you guys have no taste.
But thank you.
Yeah, thank you, but I don't respect your opinion.
Take that review and toss it.
Yeah.
Okay, then. On that note, we'll move over to the rom-com world.
Yes. Well, just going back to Ireland for a moment. I think that's so cool that you got to film there and just spend so much time there. Ireland's on my bucket list as a place to visit. So
it
that's
should
amazing.
it should be on everybody's bucket list. It's an amazing part of the world.
Ditto. All right, so we'll do that for your big birthday.
Perfect.
Perfect. I would love to.
And we totally lost our place. So just pick a question, any question.
Well, Torrance, you have gotten to film quite a few rom-coms, romantic comedies now, which I can imagine is so fun. Do you have a favorite rom-com trope to watch on screen or to play?
Um, oh, that's interesting. Good question, actually. Interesting question. I don't know if I have a favorite, but it is funny. There is, I mean, certainly when we make, particularly when we make Hallmark rom-coms, like there's an understanding among the actors and the audience what the formula is and what the tropes are. So it is kind of fun to almost point them out, either lean into them or subvert them,
Mhm.
if and depending on your mood on the day.
Mhm.
Um, the funniest one that comes up all the time is the like bump into each other, like meet cute, right? Which is like, and I think when we were making the Hearts Around the Table movies, I think every single one of the movies had the bump into meet, and
Mhm.
so it was kind of we were trying to think like, could we just change
Yeah,
what this moment is for this
right.
movie? Because I think we already we've seen that a few times, like in this very
Mhm.
series. So
Mhm.
it is, yeah, like that's the one that immediately comes to mind as just being very funny. Like the thing that doesn't, like, sure, it happens in real life, but yeah, like bumping into somebody, like not noticing who each other is at first as you
Right.
gather your things off the floor or whatever it
Mhm.
is, and then coming up to sort of lock eyes and then like, you know, like that's very funny. Um,
I forgot my name. Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
nailed the trope.
Yes.
And I'm still waiting for that to happen in real life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's
We should
bound to
all be so
happen
lucky.
sometime in real
If
life,
there's
right?
anybody watching today who met their spouse or partner that way, like please let us know.
Yeah,
Please.
put it
Yeah.
in the comments.
Yes.
We'd like to
Yeah.
know.
Yes. We need
Yeah.
proof.
Because I feel like usually it needs to be a bigger collision than that. Like you got
Yeah.
into a car accident and exchanged information, or you know, like that happens.
Mhm. You ran into them with the shopping mall door.
Yes.
That,
Exactly.
and then
Exactly.
knocked
Yes.
them
Yeah.
over.
Yes.
That seems a little bit more,
A
yeah.
little more
Yeah.
realistic.
They broke their leg and you took them to the hospital.
Yes.
Yes. That's a good
There
one.
actually was I was just rewatching Frasier's been my comfort show whenever
So
just
good.
need something on for comedy. And there was an episode where he did have to bring his date to the emergency room, and I'm like,
There you
well, that
go.
was definitely a for surefire to have to check on him.
Yeah. Yeah. They can't run away from you.
That's true. So that might be the way to go.
Win-win. Yeah.
Find an injured person.
Well, speaking of that, so we recently saw you in Unwrapping Christmas, Lily's Destiny, and then the Hearts Around the Table series. And you connected with Catherine and Ashley and Cindy in all of those, who all have played your love interests in some form in some
Yep.
movies. And so I gotta ask, do you know, was there any notes being shared between the ladies?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them about that.
You're like, what you talking about in the corner?
No, it was very funny at some point though to realize that, yeah, like sort of three of the four women I have romanced at some point, which
Yeah.
is just like that's Hallmark though. That's what's funny, right? It's like
Yeah. Well, I
yeah,
was
I don't
gonna
know.
say
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it must be just nice though to have that comfort then, because obviously when you've done so many projects with each other, especially in those movie collections where you know, because they all had, not all of them had the same directors, so they're obviously
right.
you know, were split apart and things like that too. So it's just nice to be like, know who you're going to work with. And
Yeah, no, it is it, and you know, it makes a difference because you only have 2 to 3 weeks to shoot these. So just the more you can hit the ground running and have easy chemistry with somebody. I think that's why you end up seeing a lot of the same actors doing these over and over, because it's proven that they have easy chemistry kind of with, you can just pair them with whoever and it'll work. So yeah, I mean, as a result, all of these wonderful women that I've had the privilege of working with are just so easygoing and fun and like game for things, and just, you know, they just roll with the punches, and we laugh a lot for sure.
So good.
So speaking of that, then what do you like to connect with your leading ladies with? What is something that you try to find in common with them?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we have the thing we usually have in common is just that we're actors and we have
Yeah.
stories from sets, and now a lot of us have stories from a lot of other rom-com sets that we've been on and sort of familiar. So yeah, we can bond over familiar tropes or moments that just become extra funny because of yeah, whether it be the, I don't know, the cliche or the familiarity of it. I don't know. There's not a particular thing. That's an interesting question. I can't think of any one thing we bond over. But the other thing that usually happens is that the two of you are in most of the time are in most of the scenes of the movie, and oftentimes you're somewhere where neither of you lives. So you do end up becoming friends because this is your friend because this person is on the same schedule as you, and you're just hanging out all day, every day. Um, and then you're probably staying at the same hotel, so you probably hit the Denny's across the road or whatever, like, and so you do get to know each other.
Yeah.
And that is a wonderful gift, is that you make these really fast friends with people. And the sad thing about the short form of Hallmark movies in the shooting of them is that you say goodbye very quickly. So when you get these reunions and you do more movies with them, that's actually really special because you're like, oh, it's like getting the band back together. It's very fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, let's see here. Do you have Torrance? I know Catherine's kind of spoken this earlier, but is there like another dream role or yeah, what's a dream role you have? Another segue, but is there like a big dream role where you just think, man, this is what I would love to do in my career?
Yeah, I guess I'd love to do some sort of high fantasy at some point, some Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones sort of stuff would be really cool and up my alley. Or like when I'm an old dude to play an old wizard, or I don't know, druid or something. Just some wizardy guy that's wise would be really cool. I always looked up to those things. I'm trying to think. I would, that would be big up there, but also like, I don't know. As much as I mean, I'm a fan of all kinds of TV and movies. I guess I'd love to do some like prestige TV. It would be really cool to do HBO, like Succession, or like White Lotus. Even like that stuff is really cool to me. I love that sort of stuff. Yeah, so I guess that would be I guess that's a dream. But also as I progress in my career, the dream just becomes, I realize that I just love the job. Like and I try not to take for granted the stuff that I do get to do. And I, because we just have the best time. Frankly, I did get to do sort of a dream project recently that's coming out in September called The Wrong Paris. It's a movie for Netflix. And I got to reunite with Janine and Michael Damian, who I did a movie with called Much Ado About Christmas that later got renamed to Hot Cocoa Christmas. So anyway, they're wonderful friends, and so I got to reunite with them for this Netflix movie, and but I get to do comedy. Like I'm not the romantic lead of this thing. I just get to be an absurd person. And we shot back in Vancouver, which I hadn't shot in years and years and years. And it was just like, and we got to shoot in Vancouver and in Paris. And I was like, it was just, again, like pinch me, just so lucky, so lucky. And I'm so excited for this one to come out because I think people are really going to love it.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're segueing to work, because I was moving it back to rom-coms and talking about that. And I pointed to her because we also do trivia nights, and we were doing Christmas themed trivia based. And then and her question was, what was a hot cocoa Christmas? And I said, I honestly, I know I've seen it, but it's been a while. And so I was like, was there hot cocoa in it? Like, I mean, because I just remember, I'm like, that's such a leap. And that's what I find so interesting is originally when I started this channel, it was just going to be trivia with actors. And I actually got a lot of no's of, my movie's not the same as it once was. And I'm like, that's okay. That's the fun. We're learning together.
Right. Yeah.
But, and I'm like, and I give 3 options. I mean, it's not too scary. we're just having fun.
Yes.
But, and so I was like, okay, I'll go back to podcast. Seems okay. We'll do that. But, yeah, I just think it's just so interesting. And yeah, actually one of my trivia questions for you was who was the director of Much Ado, because I knew that he was your director with this. And
right.
all the previews and all the right now the excitement around it, it's fun to see. I'm really looking forward to it. That comes September 12th, so it's not too far away.
Yeah.
Well, you know what was really cool is it's a rom-com, but I think it leans pretty heavily on the comedy, more so than other things I've gotten to do. Like it's we got to really play. We were given a lot of freedom to improvise and do things and just kind of come up with bits, and a lot of it made the movie, which is really exciting to me. It's so cool. It's validating because you always kind of mess around or you do a silly take or something, you know, and you don't really think it. And when it makes the movie, it's really validating because you feel like you've contributed to the process something, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So if you, because we have so many women who are doing these 4-parter movies and series of this, we did have The Groomsmen with Hallmark. But if you could have your ultimate bro-co kind of movie, who would you want to be partnered with for like a 4-series movies?
Okay, I think it would, I mean, no shade to my other homies, but just sort of like, yeah, oh man, it would have to be Ben Ayres. I just really want to reteam with Ben Ayres because I just love him. Paul Campbell, who I love also, and I haven't seen him or worked with him in a minute. Those are the first 2 that like just immediately leap to mind, and then there'd probably be fight to the death for the final position if there's 4 of us.
It would be bring a friend, and you can have all these other friends of the friends. So it's nobody has to be left out.
Right. You can hold auditions. Yes.
That's what I love about this.
Oh, you know what? Will Kemp.
Oh yes.
All right. Well, fans do make things happen. So I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. And those are all Hallmark sanctioned, stamped, approved actors. And
stamped approved.
Yes.
And yet, I would follow those gentlemen into any other genre as well. They're wonderful actors.
Perfect.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, Torrance, going back to a recent Hallmark movie you did, your In Hearts Around the Table movie, you played Clay, an executive chef. So you yourself, do you like to cook? Do you have any favorite meals of your own?
I like to cook, but I will say that so much of my eating is kind of fuel and nutrition based, just trying to keep my body in a particular shape for whatever is around the corner, which you just never really know what it is. So that gets less exciting after a while, meal planning and prepping and all that stuff. It's not, it's boring. Yeah, but I'm also not a very intuitive chef where I like make up the recipe, but I'm very good at following recipes. I have technique. I took home economics class. So, I can measure things and not burn them. And, yeah.
That's all you need. You're doing better than me. I burnt last night's dinner. So
there you go. Yeah. So that's the thing is I know how to, I can execute if you give me instructions, but I don't know that that doesn't make me a talented chef. That just makes me like I can cook stuff if I need to.
It makes you a rule follower.
Yes, exactly. I'm more of a line cook than a head chef.
Okay, that's okay. That is not bad at all. I can being in LA in summertime right now. Are there a lot of farmers markets around? Are you a farmers market?
Yeah, they're around. I don't get out to them too often because of the crowds, and also like I'm finding the fresh produce and is absolutely the reason to go to farmers markets. But I don't know if you guys are finding this because there's so many farmers markets around here, to be honest. I'm finding now that they're largely like it's sort of artisanal candles. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
maybe a coffee roaster if you're lucky. That's always nice. I like to pick up specialty coffees and try them out.
Yeah.
But I find that a lot of it feels like it's starting to feel samey, or like drop shipped stuff from Temu or something. It's just getting like you have a stall at the farmer's market, but there's nothing like handmade or farm to table about what you're selling.
Yeah.
I start to feel. So
no, that's we're from Minnesota, and so of course we don't have as much opportunity for it because of our weather. But I will say that basically you just know when you can find your tomatoes, your cucumbers, and your corn on the cob. That's your one and only time to be able to stop. And then you do have that occasional come the fall. That's where you won't find the produce anymore unless it's honey in a jar or maybe a jam.
Right.
And then you'll get
honeys and jams, another big staple of the farmers markets. Yeah.
And then, like you said, you'll get the candles and everything else, but hit Temu. I could just order that online. I'm good.
Yeah. Like sometimes you just come across a stall, you're like, this looks like a bunch of Amazon stuff. But I don't know. Sometimes like there's a plant shop or something, or they have pottery. It's like, that's all cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm into it. The outing is fun, if nothing else. I often don't buy anything other than just some fruit, but
just fun to walk around.
Yeah.
Well, to bring us back into the rom-coms, what do you feel makes a perfect rom-com leading man? So that could be as an actor, or it could be as a like character too and stuff.
Yeah. So here's my philosophy on it, and different people have different things that work for it. And my personal taste and aesthetic is particularly, rom-coms often have something sort of heightened about the romance. My tendency on things is to want to underplay everything. And I find that in the genre, that doesn't always play that well. Like you feel you believe it, but it feels like you're in a different movie. You're like, why? So having said that, I think there can be a tendency for people to comment on the writing as they're doing it. Like, they know they're being cheesy and they lean into cheesy acting. Whereas I prefer to think of it this way. And you can judge whether or not I'm ever successful in achieving this, but this is my mindset going into it, is that I prefer a real person who is so overcome by love that they become cheesy, that like, and there's a self-awareness in the cheesiness that I hope comes across, which is like, sometimes you're overcoming, you know, you're being silly, you know, you're being unreasonable, you know that this is a bad idea, but you do it anyway because you're just feeling something and you're just feeling inspired, and you're like, so I'm like, to me, that's what I like in a leading man, is that like somebody who is aware of their own cheesiness. I don't know, but that's how I play it. Some people, like I say, really pull off. Cheesy has a negative connotation, so I want to make it clear, it's not negative, but it's like it's just a style thing for me. But it really works for some people, and they are able to pull it off, and I believe them. But for me, that's my way into it, because I have trouble just giving into the absurdity of a situation sometimes. So my way in is like, I'm aware of the absurdity of this, and I'm so overcome with love that I don't care.
So do you have a favorite rom-com yourself?
There's so many good ones, honestly. I kind of, I don't know, there's some great ones. Underrated, I mean, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is arguably a comedy, and that would be like the pinnacle for me. That's one of my favorite movies.
I don't think I've seen that one. All right, add that to the list.
Me too.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful movie. Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet and Mark Ruffalo, Kirsten Dunst. It's great. I've recently rewatched Music and Lyrics and was really taken with actually how lovely it was, and I think it gets a bit underrated because it was kind of maybe late in that era of
Yeah,
rom-coms.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Yes.
But that era of rom-coms, in retrospect, when I was growing up, I thought they were cheesy and I didn't love them. But now, looking back on them, I'm like, oh, those were like really brilliant bits of movie making. There was something in the energy we just had in
Mhm.
those, I don't know, like I don't know, 90s, early 2000s
Yeah.
rom-coms.
I'll go. I'll always say While You Were Sleeping was my favorite, and I love Bill Pullman and Sandra Bullock in it. But for me, it was the secondary actors, that family, and those, and and they had some great like it was the mom from Mary Poppins, and some really cool
Yeah.
members, and it was like I want to be part of that family, and that's what drew me in, because this I hate to say it because I love them, the story can end up being very similar to another story, and so it's about how you expand that universe too.
Well, it's interesting. It's like there's some movies that are structured in such a way, like, so sometimes you're like, what happens next? I don't know how this movie ends. Where is this going? But then, like, just to pick a movie from a totally different genre, Finding Nemo, I don't think it would be a spoiler alert to say they find Nemo. All right, so you know how it ends, but the journey is the important part.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it really is. Or when we go, I bring it full circle to Shakespeare. Like, okay, we know how Hamlet ends. We know how a tragedy ends, right? Everybody dies.
Yeah.
But the journey is important. You can't negate that. And also, if you've seen it before, you can find something new in it in a new production. So, yeah, again, it's an interesting impulse we have to skip to the ending and then judge something on the end. But the journey is very, very important.
100% agree.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, wonderful, Torrance. Well, I just have one more just off the cuff question. Back to your movie, Much Ado About Christmas, now retitled A Hot Cocoa Christmas. And please correct me if I'm wrong. But that title was based off Much Ado About Nothing by Shakespeare. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
Yes.
since you have done Shakespeare in theater, how was it to film this movie as a Christmas rom-com, but with a Shakespeare theme? Because it's loosely based on the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
how was that for you?
I mean, it was great, honestly. I don't know, like I guess the Shakespeare of it, and just knowing it was based on a Shakespearean comedy. I think subconsciously what it did was give me a little bounce in my step. That character ended up being very kind of, he would kind of glide through scenes and do little spinoramas, and just like he was a guy who was just like overcome with love in this very theatrical way, that yeah, I think somewhere, I don't think I made this decision consciously, but I just sort of felt it intuitively. Something about, yeah, it just felt like it was a romp. So I just, that kind of made its way into my body language and everything, and just the way I approached the character. And I think that's why.
Oh, that's great. That's a fantastic movie. I remember I was just starting to watch that network at the time, and that movie really stood out to me. I really enjoyed it. And you and Susie Abromite were great. So wonderful.
I'm not mistaken, it was one of the first Christmas movies for that network.
Yes.
It was, in fact,
yes.
Yes, it was in fact their first Christmas movie, I believe. The network didn't exist yet when I signed on to it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool honor to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was wonderful. That was crazy though. We shot that one in Romania in the middle of the summer. So and we shot it entirely at night. So even the daytime scenes were shot at night. And just lit. So I was literally in Bucharest and existing as a vampire, like returning to my hotel. After a 12-hour workday, you get back to the hotel and everybody's just there eating bacon and eggs and waking up, and it's just an absolute mind trip.
So was that just based on availability? That's actually a really that's a fun way to end this. What is something that has completely caught you off guard in a similar situation than that you weren't expecting when you went on to set?
Yeah,
Or
I didn't.
Were you expecting to be working only in the evenings for that, or the nights? Okay.
No, and in fact, I didn't understand the language they use is they call it splits. And I didn't understand what that meant. They're like, we're shooting in splits. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then what I realized what splits means is that you start at like 5 p.m. so you can get 1 or 2 scenes in the daylight before the night comes, and then the rest of the scenes are at night. So at first it was just going to be some days that were like that, but then they realized, hang on, we can schedule this in such a way that we can shoot all our indoor scenes at night too, and just light through the window like it's daylight outside. So we got a handful of, because so much of it happened, it was Christmas at nighttime, like in the village, or the snow's falling and the lights are everywhere. So they really needed that. But once we had that, then it was like, well, we either basically kill a day waiting for people to adjust to a different time because of the like turnaround times and things, or we just like keep going at night. So yeah, that was a surprise though. So I flew it's like a 9-10 hour time difference from where I was coming from, and then so I was just jet lagged and crazy. So I finally adjusted to the local time. They said, surprise, we're shooting entirely in the evening. So I kind of got double jet lagged.
Oh, come on, man.
and you're really like, well, I guess there goes actually touring the place, because I'll be sleeping during the days.
And genuinely, that's exactly what happened. I didn't really get to see it. I got to see some of it in that whatever 4 or 5 days when you're just doing fittings and rehearsals, etc. We were lucky to have a bit of that. But yeah, once that ended, it's done. Because also our weekends were, we only had 1 day weekends on it. So because we were shooting 6 days. So if you can picture, you shoot 5, 6 p.m. You go through until like 6, 7, 8 a.m. and then you go to bed. So if it's Friday, so so Saturday was our last work day. So let's say you go into work at Saturday at 6 p.m. You actually work until Sunday at like 6, 7 a.m. And then you start in again Monday at 6 p.m. So you only really get Sunday 6 a.m. to Monday 6 p.m. off. So you're like, okay, I have, but you need to sleep a bunch of that.
Right. I was gonna say, well, that's the happening time, I'm sure. Right.
Yeah. So like, okay, so you have Sunday evening after dark.
Yeah.
Is what you really truly have to.
Yeah. And what was open? Anything?
Yeah. Like there's not much happening.
Oh man. Wow. Maybe someday you'll get the opportunity to go back and work during the day and have a normal schedule.
I hope so. I really enjoyed my time there from the little I was able to see.
Oh, so wonderful.
Well, let's end with this trivia question. What was your character's name in Romance in the Air? Do you want choices?
Let me see. Oh, that was long enough ago now. That's tough. Okay. Give me the multiple choice.
Okay, Robert, Riley, or Roger.
It's Riley. Yeah. As soon as I heard it, I was like, that's the one.
And
yeah.
With your beautiful co-star Cindy Busby. Cindy was our first interview on the podcast.
She's wonderful.
She's always such a champion too of making, like she goes, I find myself to be the first guest in a lot of people's, and I'm like, that's because you're such a fantastic cheerleader.
Yeah, well, she understands that it's a community and that you got to work together to turn it into a thing, right? So her and Ben Ayers again is also a big part of that with Romance University and the whole community as well. So just the people cultivating the fandom, and getting it turning it into a vibe.
Yeah, these fan events are popping up everywhere, which is amazing and fantastic, and such a market for them, small, large. I mean, we're doing the Hallmark Christmas experience, and
amazing,
and it's just one of those things where you sit there and you're just like, you want to go every weekend, and you're like, oh dang, I moved down to Kansas City just for the month.
Yeah.
And then Romance University, like what Ben's doing, where you get to previously when in Vancouver with the Martini Town, when you get to go and tour the sets, of course, I mean, the behind the scenes is what seems, there's a few people who are like, oh, I just want to watch it, don't want to know anything else. And then there's those people who are like us, is like, tell me everything, let me see how it works. And to give that opportunity to fans is just such a amazing gift. So
yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what might come up in the future with them, because I know Ben's got quite a few ideas. So hopefully we can get another event like that coming up in the future.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. And maybe we'll see you at one.
That's the hope. I'd love to do one. So I guess now I've dug in and done it, especially in the last year. I've appeared in more for Hallmark. So maybe I'm slightly more entrenched than I was before. We'll see.
Well, thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. This was great. We had a blast.
Torrance, thank you so much. It's so lovely for us to meet you and speak with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thanks so much for having me.